What I disagree with is this notion that Democrats have just completely abandoned the working class. I mean, it's just not true. It's fundamentally not true. And I think that the data bear that out in many ways, not only President Biden's administration, but the comparison between what Vice President Harris was proposing for the American people and what Donald Trump was. I also want to say really quickly, I am deeply hesitant to have this conversation about what's wrong with the candidates or the messaging until we have a real conversation about what's wrong with America, right? It feels like an exercise of accountability avoidance.
So bring it up. Bring it up. What do you think must be on the table? You heard what I said at the top.
What are you, nuts?
What's that?
Am I nuts or is he nuts?
I can't wait for this guy to tell us what's wrong with America. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear what it is. What's the issue?
Okay, well, sure. I can say first, foremost, and preliminarily, it seems that the sobering truth is American people have abandoned civility as a prerequisite for leadership.
Amen.
I would say white Christians, of which Donald Trump performs pretty well with, have abandoned sexual assault as a disqualifying factor for leadership, right? Some would say, if you look at Catholics, it was never a factor for their leadership, right? I just think we need nuance when we talk about these things. When we say working people have abandoned the Democratic Party,
no,
black working people haven't.
Just so you're straight on it, Josh, it's that you abandoned them. Not that they abandoned you, but you started talking about about other things than them. That's the point.
But earlier you were talking about how black people are about a certain group of people, black and Latino people, have moved away from the Democratic Party as well because of this.
They did. But I'm saying it's because of what you did to them, not them doing it to you. Let's bring in Cenk.
Yeah. So first of all, blaming the American voters is nuts. Totally nuts. It's not their fault. It's your candidate's fault. It's your party's fault. It's your leadership's fault. So Jamie Harrison, how dare he even talk about this? What a miserable failure. Losing to Donald Trump twice. And he's at the head of the DNC when they lose this time. I think he should drink a tall glass of shut-up juice, probably for the rest of his life. How dare he talk out about how other people cost the election? Brother, take some personal responsibility. Let me tell you who else is responsible for this loss. Joe Biden. The guy's obviously senile, stayed in the race anyway because of his gigantic ego. We should have had a real primary and picked the strongest Democrat that's going to fight for American voters, not blame American voters. And let me tell you something that no one on TV has said yet. Kamala Harris was a historic failure. We're all like playing footsie here and, oh my God, we don't want to offend the powerful person. She was the candidate. The voters aren't the problem. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Jamie Harrison, and the Democratic leadership are the problem. For God's sake, turn around. Stop taking all the donor money and doing only what the donors want. For once in your life, remember your voters. Stop insulting your base, going after Latino men and black men and white women. I'm sick of it. Josh, why don't you actually fight for us instead of insulting us?
Josh, finesse it.
Yeah, look, I think sometimes on these shows, you know, they get real popular because there's a lot of anger and screaming at each other. I like Cenk quite a bit, and I agree with him on the majority of his policy priorities. I disagree. I frankly disagree that this is just because of the Democratic Party. And I really think it is incumbent upon us to kind of take a little bit of accountability on how America has moved on what we are willing to consider to be real leadership, right? Donald Trump has no business winning an election in a civilized country. An insane person can only be a widespread menace in an insane society. And I think that that's just an important part of the conversation on top of the conversations about where we need to move on economic policy, of which a decent amount, I believe, Cenk and I would agree with.
So, but you get it. I mean, you're just adding an overlay, Cenk. You know, we've talked about this before. It's that Trump should have been qualified because of who he is. That was the Democratic theory of the case. But wasn't the story of the election that people care about what matters in their lives specifically more than they do about how good a person Donald Trump is?
So, first of all, I loathe Donald Trump, and I'm really, really worried about what he's going to do. Mike Davis is now being rumored to be his attorney general. He said that we should arrest and deport Mehdi Hassan, a guy who's just like me, who criticizes the government, who criticizes
much
Trump,
smarter than you,
who's Muslim American, criticizes Israel.
Much smarter.
So I can't stand Donald Trump. Okay, so now
it's much smarter.
Why do we have Donald Trump? Why did we lose to this guy who barely is in double digits in IQ? Why did we lose to him? So if he's so bad, then how bad is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton?
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.